Okay, so I thought it would be fun because I found a little technique. It's very simple and it is to contour my bumpy nose. You know, because if I don't put any contour, nothing on my nose, if I don't put any color, it's just gonna be like kind of misplaced on my face. And as you can see, I have a little bump here going downwards, coming up towards you on this side, and you know, of course, all of these things. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video if you want to see more tutorials about makeup and on everything like this, and also consider subscribing for 5 beautiful videos a week on beauty related and more. So you know, I've been testing out a lot of things throughout everything, and it is really hard to contour the nose, especially if you have a bumpy one, you have a skinny one like mine. It's kind of skinny, goes one way, goes the other way, and it always looks way better on social media, you know? So the nose contour that I'm going to be showing you today that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is not like super Instagrammable. It's not going to make my nose look perfectly straight. Your face never looks perfectly straight except if you obviously edit your photos and everything. So the contour I'm going to be using today is the Patrick Ta. She's a statuesque, and it is the cream contour and powder bronzer duo. More kind of like neutral to cooler tones, which is what you want to contour, and then after that you go with bronzer to add a little bit more of warmth to the face. It is a little bit unusual, okay, the way that I do it. It's not like, okay, you do super precise application. No, totally not. Since my nose is kind of bumpy, if I go too precise and too dark, it's gonna look super fake, and it's just gonna accentuate the curves, the bumps, and everything that I have on my nose. So what I do is I take my brush that I use for contour. So this is the Patrick Ta, you know, contour brush, and then I just go straight into it. I literally take it and I do this, and I stamp it on my nose, on the side. And I always take the pack side more like towards the end. And then it's going to create kind of like a shape like this, like a little buttony nose. So as you can see, I accentuated this side and it looks super natural without blending anything. I just stamped it a bit and that's what it looks like. And then now it looks like it's going one side because I only put it on one side. So now I put a little bit more of the contour back on this, and then I go a little bit more like on the nose, and I just stamp it like that. And already my nose looks straighter, and it's just a little illusion. You know, you want it to look not too much. And then usually what I would do is I would go with my beauty blender with the rest of foundation and just blend at the top like that. And then it already looks a bit straighter, you know? So the thing is with that is sometimes I use the same brush and then I'm like, oh, there's more on this side. So then I take the fluffy side that is on this side right here, and then I go a bit into the product, and then I go and I start to apply to some areas, especially at the front of the nose here. And as you can see, I kind of have like my cartilage in my nose, which you can see it does kind of like this, and you can see it a lot. So what I do is I avoid putting contour too much here because it's really going to be bumpy. Instead, I would put it on the tip of my nose. You know, like it looks kind of unified, you know what I mean? So I know it does shadows here from the bump, from how like kind of like sharp the nose turns. So then I avoid these areas and I go where the soft area is. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, okay? Because my nose is already super tiny. I have to be careful because of how tiny my nose is. Really, really careful. So of course, if I do this, now I turn on the side, I have a little bump here. So then you see the light coming your way, and then the nose is going to look your way. So you want to fix that by putting a bit of the contour. I could go sometimes with my finger. So, and again, not too much because it's going to accentuate. Like, as you can see now, I put a little bit too much on the bump and then it accentuated the bump. And then I have this area here that is way thinner than the rest of my nose. So what I do is when I do contour or whatever, I can take my finger or another brush, which is the E62 from Morphe, so this one right here, and I would go in it, and then I would go way more on the side, and then go like this and continue, and then bring it like in like that. So then it would continue being straight. It doesn't look thinner, and it would just look better overall. So I just put it lower. Like normally on my nose, I would put it like more like here. Like here. But then I have to go down for the inner corner of the eye. So then it looks more straight. And then you bring it to the eyebrow like that. So just so like it looks a little bit more unified. And then you make sure to blend everything, because if you don't, it's gonna look super weird. Sometimes there's areas that are more pronounced than others. So then I take my little beauty blender and then I go back, especially on the side here. And then I put it under here. I don't put shadow. I put a little bit of light right here on the, like in between the nostrils, because that's gonna bring, like you have shadow here on the side, but then if you put a little bit of light, I feel like it's gonna bring it back out, like a little buttony nose, if that's what you like. And then you blend the rest here on the side. And then as you can see, it has a very soft contour. It's super natural. It doesn't look crazy, and it just looks nice overall. If I turn around, or if you're in real lighting, then it's not gonna look overkill, you know? It's just gonna look very natural. And most of the time what I do is when I put blush, I usually add blush on top of that. I do put a little bit at the top of my nose, and then I put some highlight. And I feel like adding blush and highlight is definitely part of the contour of the nose to really have something beautiful all together. So I'm gonna put some blush quick. I put a little bit here. And then, you know, when you put the blush on the nose, like since I have like a bumpy nose kind of, adding the color like that, it's gonna round up the nose and it's gonna look less sharp at the end. So if you have like a very sharp nose, very bony nose, I highly recommend you putting a little bit of blush, and it's gonna look way more like kind of round. It's gonna be softer. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but already at the tip of my nose, it's less bumpy and it's more round. All right, so this is it. And the nose looks a little bit more natural now that I added some blush. Sometimes the trick that I can give you guys, if you wear glasses on a day-to-day basis, which I do that literally all the time, is that I put blush right here on the bridge of the nose, and I bring it all around. So then when I have my glasses on and then it rubs the foundation and it removes it, then the blush is still there all around, and it doesn't look like there's disparities on your nose. So you have to apply this contour technique, blush technique, everything to a day-to-day basis, because in pictures it might not look like, look, my nose looks contour like crazy. It looks straight like that. It looks straighter like this on the side. But of course, I can't change the anatomy of my nose at the moment. So, and then you have to think about the highlight. And then you have to think about light, darkness. Darkness is going to bring everything forward, inwards, and then the light is going to bring it outwards. So if I go, because we're going to continue with cream products before I set everything with powders, I'm going to go with that, you know, cream little highlight from Natasha Denona. And I want to bring the bridge of the nose a bit forward, because it does, when you look at it that way, it goes down and I have a bump on my nose. So when I look at you straight, or if I want to take pictures, I don't want to see that. So I'm going to concentrate the highlight on the bridge of the nose so then it can come forward. And then I put it a bit on my bump, just because most of the time, you know, a lot of things like moves, and then this is just gonna add a little bit of coverage. So this is what it looks like so far, and it looks very, very straight, and I like to put a bit here. I know it's kind of weird, but under here. Then I don't, like, you could do, for example, like a line, a little line here, so the nose could come a bit forward, you know what I mean? But my nose is definitely not in that direction, and when I put a line to try to make it like rounder and like come forward towards you, just looks like a line. So most of the time I just don't do anything. I just don't do it. So instead, if I want it to look a bit forward, I'm going to put a bit of highlight, but only here. And not too much, because if I put it all the way down, my nose is going to look so long, and you kind of want to avoid that. So I take back my little brush and then I go back. So then my nose looks a bit more unified with the rest of my face. So this is just so, like, when I do my makeup, it doesn't look awkward where it's alone and like super bland. And now time for the powder. So sometimes I would put a little bit of bronzer from here, you know, on the side of the face, on the side here. And then if I put too much, most of the time I put a little bit of, you know, like setting powder back, because it's the same color as my skin tone. So it just blends everything very, very well together. And I go back with my setting powder like I told you guys. So this is the MAC Water Weight that I'm using today. And I would just add on the side of the nose to make it straighter. And then I blend it into the contour that I just did to set everything in place. So some people might use translucent powder. I do like to use not translucent. And then I take a little brush and then I go in the middle. And then I set everything in place. And I mostly take the powder with my finger and then I pat it there where my glasses would be. And then I would obviously finish off with the bronzer and everything. And then I would put a little bit of darkness right here on the side, because if I don't continue it on the nostril, then it's going to look kind of awkward. You know, you're going to have a line where it's pale here and then you would have it like dark here. So I'm trying to make it seamless and the most natural possible. So this seems pretty good for now. I usually go with this Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and I would go first with the bronzer side, and then I would add it to my nose a little bit. And then I would take this powder that just blurs everything out, and I would just go on my nose and all over everything. When you add a little layer of everything on top of each other, then it's just gonna blend way more. And then I take the highlight and I go where I put the highlight. So at the top here, and then I put some here. And then that is how I would contour my nose. It looks like that. It looks pretty, I would say, natural. There's no harsh lines. Everything is blended together. Of course, the nose. Okay, this is one of the hardest part to do the nose. It seems like the foundation never sticks on. The powders become weird because of the nose texture. You know, if you have like sebums filament, which are kind of like the black heads coming out, you know, like, you know, when you touch your nose and then you have little bumps there. Well, it's hard to clean out even with salicylic acid. So it's harder for makeup to stick on the nose. So you really have to take your time and to just contour that so it looks a bit more straight. So now it's going to look a bit more straight, as you see, but it's not going to be completely straight. It cannot be. It can't be. I'm just trying to perfect it a little bit and make it cute. Okay, so I put some lashes on because it was kind of bare, but you know, that is kind of like a mini, I would say mini kind of surgery for my nose, which, you know, you can't do as much with makeup. It's just about working your angles. Of course, there's always going to be an angle that you prefer over another one. So my good angle is definitely on this side like this, and then my nose looks straight and it looks sharp and everything. And if I go that way, then, you know, it's a different story. You know what I mean? So anyways, that is how I contour my bumpy nose, my bumpy, skinny, crooked nose, which it's not that bad, okay? Like, I know you guys are gonna come in the comments and be like, your nose ain't that bad. I can see my flaws and I'm trying to correct them with makeup just to enhance my nose and make it a little straighter, and it does work with makeup. It just takes a lot of time. So anyways, that is what I do for my nose. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, make sure to like it and comment down below what is your technique to contour your nose. Do you do like, you know, the technique where they just put bronzer over everything and then they put like in the middle and they're like, ooh, my nose is contoured and it just looks flawless. To me, that doesn't work for me because my nose is just crooked, and if I do that, it's gonna be horrible. So I have to go another way. And yeah, also consider subscribing for 5 beautiful videos a week, all on beauty related and more. So that is what it is, and I thank you so much for watching again. I love you guys so much, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye, beauties.